IRTS Live is brought to you by United Players. It takes the hood to save the hood. Lifelong medical care, offering high-quality health, dental, and social services to all ages and incomes. Safe Source LLC, where safety is our engine, and we are the key that starts it. This episode is powered by PlushLifeMedia.com. Let us remix your digital presence. Hey, we've got gear. Visit IRTSShow.com for coffee cups, caps, t-shirts, and just added IRTS Live mouse pads and personal protective masks. Founded by our own Ryan Nicole, check out Haven, a cultural media production and distribution initiative for housing justice. Find out more at havenprojectoakland.com. Join DJs Big Russ and CJ Flash for the world-famous show live, Fridays, noon to 4 Pacific. Catch them on the following social media platforms. And if you'd like to join us as a sponsor, please email us at info@irtsshow.com.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? You got the almighty DJ CJ Flash. Happy to be with you for a brand new episode of I Remember That Song. It's so good that I had to clap my hands to the beat. How about that? I remember that song. Here to tell you all about it is our man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jerry Dove.
What is going on with you?
All is fantastic, my brother.
Okay, let's stop now. Okay. CJ Flash, what's good? How you doing out there, man? By the way, for everybody that's listening, that theme music that you hear, that was created by the one and only CJ Flash, and I love that groove, man. And every now and then we're gonna have to be like the old Tonight Show and just let the band play for like another 30 or 40 seconds, you know. So because you hit a groove in that sometimes about 30 seconds in, like you change the beat a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, that's really cool, man. So anyway. I hope everybody's ready for a good show tonight. We're going to have a lot of fun. We've been talking about it all week on Facebook and on Instagram. We are going to be talking about hip-hop with an artist, an author, an entrepreneur. He's got like 1,000 things I'm going to tell him about. Introduce him in just a moment. But in the meantime, let's bring in my man, Russel Gatewood, and the rest of the IRTS crew. And by the rest of the IRTS crew, I mean bringing in Russel Gatewood. Because the ladies aren't quite ready yet, you know. So.
Why would you put them on blast like that?
Well, I just said, what's that blast? It was only blast when you said it. Then it became a blast. Before you said that, it was just a fact.
No, we were going to take our time and introduce them one by one.
I'm still going to do that. But in the meantime, Big Russ, what's going on?
I am clearly living in your world, Mr. Dove.
And don't you ever forget that.
I'm not going to forget it.
Ever.
I will not forget it.
Youngster.
That text message I sent you earlier today, that proves that I'm not going to forget it.
That's funny. Let's see what shirt you got on this week, Mr. T-shirt Guru. Let's see what you got.
This is in honor of my man, Davey D. Since we're talking about hip-hop, I kind of dug in the drawer and I came up with something from the native tongues.
Oh, wow. Chia Lee?
Yeah.
Oh.
Age ain't nothing but a number. Tribe, Black Sheep, Younger Brothers, Moni Love, my secret wife, and Queen Latifah.
Who's at the bottom? There's some
Latifah.
There looks like
there's something underneath that. It would look like a trademark or something.
Family.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Very nicely done.
Native tongue. I love the native tongue.
Okay. All right. Okay, good. All right. So look, we do have Tracy Anderson, who's the CEO of Plush Life Media, coming up in just a couple of minutes. Ryan Nicole, who is busy as ever, has promised she's going to join us in a little bit too. But in the meantime, let's bring our guest on. All right. This gentleman is a friend of the show. And a friend of the Bay Area in the music world and everything like that. First of all, let's say this. IRTS Live, we're presenting how hip-hop runs the world in music, fashion, film, TV, and more. We're having a discussion with Mr. Davey D. He's a hip-hop historian and the author of the new book, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. Did I do that just like Stephen Colbert or whatever?
You sure did.
Let's bring in our guest, Mr. Davey D.
How you doing, y'all?
What's up, Dave?
What's up, Dave? How you, man?
Good. I just got to say, I'm the co-author.
Yes.
You can't leave out my partner, Jeff Chang, who did the original, and then asked me on the 15th anniversary to come in and do this one. So big shout out to Jeff, who is
Yes.
at home taking a much needed break.
Right. Right.
Yes.
Shout out to Jeff. Jeff, no offense taken, bro. Your name is first, as a matter of fact. So I should have seen that. But how you doing, Dave? You ready to do this show? We're gonna have some fun, man.
Well, I'm ready. First of all, I want to thank you for the wonderful package you sent me.
You're welcome.
I was trying to troll you when you asked me to come on the show.
Let me set it up first, and then you can take it from there. Okay. So what happened was when we had Davey on a few months back, I told him, I said, look, when the book is ready, we want you to come back and talk about the book. And he said, bet, not a problem. So I texted him about a week or so ago. I said, Dave, just making sure you're still in. He said, okay, I'm in. And then he said, but I got a writer. Now go ahead.
And so in my writer, I said, let me just be crazy, white candles, white tablecloths, white people, that sort of thing. So I was like, yeah, give me 7 M&Ms, a Britney Spears poster, some, spicy tuna, sushi, and some raisins for my carrot salad. Because me and you have this whole debate about raisins. I do put raisins in everything.
Yeah.
And so here I was minding my business.
There it is.
And I got a package in the mail. And I opened up and it was a carrot. And there was 7 yellow M&Ms.
Yep.
And, a DoorDash for the spicy tuna.
Mm-hmm.
My wife was like, what's up with the Britney Spears poster? What's the deal? What don't I know here? So
autograph Britney Spears poster.
Yeah, this is an Aretha Franklin, Selena household. Britney ain't on our wall except for tonight. But you came through. And for somebody who prides himself on being a troll, who will just do things just to get a reaction, my mouth was open for about 15 minutes. And I was sitting there like, yo, no, he didn't. So that was well played. And
thank you very much.
And then knowing Tracy and CJ and Russ, and I know that they get down on the troll tip, I'm a little concerned about tonight.
You should be afraid. Yes, you should be afraid.
Very afraid.
These are people that might know me the longest, among the longest of my residency here in California. So they know where bodies are buried, literally.
Yes. Davey D, this is your life.
Yes.
So I'm writing checks right now to CJ first.
Well, you're welcome for that, and I'm glad that it got to you in time, because I did pay the post office a little bit extra to put it on a faster horse to make sure it got to you before the show. So.
Those raisins were good, my brother. I ate every last one of them.
Yeah, and then everybody, he texts me and says he's going to put the raisins on his grits.
Well,
right.
I'm like, I had nothing. I had no comeback. I still have no comeback, obviously.
I had to get the last word.
Yeah, well, you definitely won with that one. So
I wasn't gonna put raisins in grits. I wouldn't be in this house if I put raisins in grits.
Thank you.
Good call.
Yeah.
Good call.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, well, look, let's talk about this book that you have co-written. Okay, so it's called, like we said, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. And let's tell the people a little bit about it, and then we're going to get into it tonight. That's going to be the way we kind of position this whole show based on some of the things that you guys have written.
So early 2000, Jeff Chang wrote the book, Can't Stop, Won't Stop, and it was kind of patterned after the famous book, The People's History of the United States by Howard Zinn, giving a detailed account of history and really bringing to the forefront a lot of voices that hadn't been done in the past. Initially, when people heard about hip hop, they would hear cliches like, oh, hip hop was, ended gang violence in the Bronx. And they would go on. Well, when Jeff wrote the book, he was like, well, how did it end gang violence? Who were the gang members? And he went and he interviewed them and he really told a story and he gave it a political, social justice lens, which was very important. And it was also universal because you could see yourself, whether you were in the South Bronx where hip hop was birthed or whether you're 3,000 miles away out here, you could see the similarity in the conditions that gave birth to this scene. So the book, went on to win a lot of awards and is taught in a lot of schools. And for the 15th anniversary, his editor, a woman named Monique, said, "Why don't we reintroduce this to a younger audience?" And so he said, "Sure, and we can correct some of the things that were left out on the first book. We can bring it up to date, add new things." And then he asked me to come on and co-author it. And it was a journey, a 2-year journey. And we took that history and we took it all the way up to the 2020 election. So we talk about the pandemic. We talk about the George Floyd unrest. We filled a lot of the voids that were missing in the first one. And it says young adults, but I think it's for everybody. It's it comes from the heart. And it's also finally a handoff for the other stories that need to be told, the regional stories, the international stories from particular groups. We touch upon it, but we touch upon it in a way that the baton can be passed to others. And that's what the book is really about, that history.
Very nice. Now, before we go any further, I have to stop because Russell pointed something out. Over your shoulder there, you got that Britney Spears poster up on your wall. I don't know how I didn't notice that at first. Good eye, Russ. Good eye, Russ. So,
well, look, we should all expand our music horizons, and we should learn to like every artist. All artists matter. All artists matter.
Well, what page is she on in the book? What page is she on in the book here? What page do I find Britney in here?
Well, I wanted to put her in. Jeff was like, "We're not putting Britney Spears in his book," and I was Jeff. Like, "But she did a song with Lil Wayne. It was on the mixtape and all that, and it was like, we're not putting Britney." He put his foot down, and he's like, "You will not be a co-author of this book."
Not totally, because I got a chance to read the book. And that boa constrictor, the yellow boa constrictor, is actually in the book. If you read carefully, the yellow boa constrictor in the video.
At the MTV Awards?
Yes. It's in the book.
Well, I appreciate Jeff for putting his foot down on that one. So what we're going to do is we're going to touch on 3 of the chapters that you guys refer to as loops. What's the reason why you call it a loop 2, loop 1, 2, 3, 4? What's versus a chapter? What's a loop?
Well, I mean, a loop is, it's what the basis of a breakbeat is. Mm-hmm. You repeat the drum pattern. You would mix it over and over again. It was initially called the merry-go-round. Later on, when we sample it, we might loop a drum beat. CJ, who, is a producer, understands that well. And so we're giving you that loop, the loop between 1968 and 1979, and from 79 up into the 90s, and from the 90s into the 2000s. And it's just really a way to kind of, bracket different aspects of this evolution of hip hop.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with loop number 2. And that covers 1983 to 1990. What I'd like to do is see if we can touch on not just the music, but the fashion, about the transition over into movies and to TV and all the different things that hip hop did when they basically took over the world, which they still own to this day. So in loop 2, you talk about the big crossover, coast to coast, what we got to say, all about reality, or some of the bylines within the chapter. So we want to play a little music first, CJ, and then we can come back and touch on some of these things. So go ahead, bro. Whoa. We have to acknowledge that Tracy has just jumped in here. Hold on. Hi, Tracy.
Hey, y'all. Hey.
Tracy Anderson, the CEO of Plush Life Media, and all day today has been a co-host of an MC Hammer tribute on Clubhouse.
Yes, it has been a busy day. Happy birthday, MC Hammer.
Yeah, we'll get to him in a little bit more, but that was great. That's great. Did you put that together?
No, they pulled me in to help yesterday, and so we were able to really have an amazing, not only like family reunion, but I think Grant Cordone. It was a lot of people on the stage on Clubhouse that paid tribute to him today. And he shared some amazing stories, and we can talk about that a little later. But I see people are joining us from all around the country. You guys, make sure you swipe and invite, tell a neighbor. tap somebody, do whatever you have to do. Let them know that we are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. So, don't be stingy, and make sure you drop in the comments where you are viewing from, and we may just shout you out.
There you go. Let's shout out a couple of folks of mine over here. My niece, Nicole Scott is another Nicole that's out there. Travis is out there. Lisa Johnson is there. She's an author as well. Dave, you know Lisa?
Lisa Johnson.
She's an author as well.
Oh, okay. I probably know if okay.
Yeah, Stevie Junifon is out there. He's hollering at you. Sheila Bay, Nichelle Turner, Vicky Stevens, all kind of folks are saying hello to Davey D. Shell Bay. Okay. Shell. Oh, like in Mushell.
All the way from Charlotte, North Carolina.
All right. That's dope.
Hey, can we give that shout out to MC Hammer? We wrote about him a lot in that book, and I think Hammer was ahead of his time. A lot of things that people did not understand when he first came out, and was even ridiculed. Like, why is he doing commercials, and what's all this dancing and all these different things that now folks, the first thing they do is like, can I get a commercial? Can I get a cartoon? Can we do all these things? And I think, first we just got to acknowledge him coming from the Bay is a big deal in being able to do that and being able to stick to his guns in the middle of the golden era of hip hop, when people were kind of like, he's not a Rakim, he's not the most lyrically proficient, but the man can burn up a stage, and that's always a universal thing. Yeah. And my favorite story with Hammer is the fact that he got booed at the Latin Quarter. He went to the Latin Quarter, which was the preeminent club in New York City. He bought his record, and they played it, and they're like, what the hell is this? And then he comes back, with a tremendous amount of success, but he does that song, Turn His Mother Out, that has the Apache break beat. And you remember, it's like, you ain't hitting in New York. Yeah. And he was hitting now, and
we were able to kind of touch on that a little bit today, really? Because, and I hope to touch on it even more, because not only did he get ridiculed, but we did, because we worked for him.
Right.
But we talked about his impact and the fact that he was able to give James Brown his flowers while he yet lived, and Rick James while he yet lived, and Michael Jackson while he yet lived. And a lot of people, those particular artists, were very particular about who sampled them, who, all of that, and they all gave him clearance and shared the stage with him. So that says a whole lot. Yeah. And like you said, he opened the door for endorsements and things like that. Took a lot of hits, was called a sellout, but he really opened the door for a lot of them.
Well, he understood the hustle, and I think people underestimated him because, as he would say, don't let the smooth taste fool you. He understood that when he went on stage, you wear a uniform and you perform, right? And I think many people found out that he was a cat from the streets, at the end of the day. And I think I say that hustle etiquette, that ethos, allowed him to circumvent a system that, for the most part at the time, if you go back, was shutting the doors on a lot of people. They weren't letting a lot of people get to the heights that he was able to get. And I remember him telling me, because he gave me up on a lot of things, and he was like, Dave, let me tell you something. If I put on a white T-shirt and some jeans, I can do this nightclub for $500 a night. If I put on these genie pants and, get Earth, Wind, and Fire horns and dance better than Michael Jackson, or try to at least, I can get $100,000 a night. And I can support my entire crew, right? Which is what he was doing. So, the thing that he doesn't get credit, him and Lou bringing all those people who are formerly incarcerated, and putting them on payroll, Tracy, and giving them jobs. This wasn't done with the government's help. This was done with him doing that in the late 80s. And, I think now we can look back and be like, he was doing what we ask artists to do. And artists now will do that. But at the time, they didn't quite get it. And I mean,
absolutely,
he will always be on the Mount Rushmore in the Bay Area, at least.
Absolutely. Now,
sure. He actually had showmanship. He had hustle and showmanship, and his showmanship was CJ has a story about when he first ran into him at the Palladium.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was all about this is pre-Ace. This was just Hammer.
Yeah.
You know, and I used to see him at the Palladium too, him and Ace, and it was all about showmanship.
Yeah.
All about showmanship.
You know, the thing that I think is also something that we got to remember about Hammer is that in addition to that showmanship, he was hip hop in the sense that he was bold. You know, and hip hop is one of these things like Russ, me and you going to battle, right? And CJ, me and you going to battle. We have that bravado, and people would be like, "Well, Hammer, he's not Rakim. He don't have that lyrical flow, but he was ready to battle anybody, anytime, anywhere. Not so much on the mic, but he said, let's get on this stage and see who turned the party out."
Absolutely.
And so people might have had better rhymes, but they was going home like, you know, that dude can rap, but this dude. Man, he turned the party out, you know. And so,
Absolutely. So we love MC Hammer. We'll probably bring him up a little bit later on as well. But I do like that part about don't let the smooth fool you, because just because I manicure my nails don't mean I won't hire somebody to whoop your ass. Okay, CJ,
let's somebody. What in the bougie? What in the world?
I'm a boss. I'm a boss.
That was a highbrow boss move.
I'm a boss. Right. I'm not a player. I'm a boss. There you go.
That's the original cut, right? The original ring.
Yeah. That was fun. The Holy Ghost boy.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Hey, Jerry, can I sneak in one story here?
One quick story, because we got to get going. We don't spend too much time on Hammer today.
Hammer I used to DJ at the DOS Club. Hammer I told him, I said, bring your whenever it's done, bring it to the club. He brought it to the club upstairs, DJ booth, and I put it on the headphones. And I said, I don't know. And then I turned the record over, and I said, this could work. And I played Ringham, the instrumental part. And he ran back up to the DJ booth. Man, why you not playing the rock? I said, because the instrumental is hot. I love the instrumental. That rap is going to have to grow on me. He was so juiced. He was happy I was playing it, but he wanted me to play the rap. But I will tell you this. I played that song twice that night, and I never play the same song twice. I played that song twice, and to this day, my cousin Jeff loses every ounce of bodily fluid anytime that song comes on.
Yeah. We did a What's Your Jam with Jeff, and that's exactly what he said. And when you play that, when he loses his mind. Now, friends of our show, James Early did a lot of production with Hammer, right? And also Felton Pilot, who we haven't had on yet, but I know he's a friend of the show. So shout out to the entire Bay for making that happen. And for Tracy, of course, we're making it a million seller or 10 million seller. I'm sorry. Tracy was part of that team.
I was a part of the team, and it was quite an education. You know, I was about 18 years old and learned, retail marketing and publicity and later on A&R administration. And so, I had a lot of fun. A lot of hard work. I teased him today about how military, he was about.
Yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah.
And Louis Burrell too. That's who hired me. So I have to shout out Louis Burrell. But we all had a lot of fun, a lot of hard work.
Well, happy birthday, MC Hammer. CJ, what else you got?
Real quick, Tracy, you kind of like young Susan DePass back then, huh?
You know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and receive that from my big brother CJ.
Tracy was everywhere.
That was really by the grace of God. I really was passionate about hip hop. I loved hip hop. And to be a part of that, really just opened the door. I learned how to use a computer there.
Tracy was a boss. She came down to the station and her and her homegirl hung me out the window and said, "You better play this record, or there's going to be some problems up in here." I was like, "Really?"
And just for the record, I hired Tracy to do that, by the way.
Listen, the office hours
like,
are from 9 to 5.
I hired her to do that because I manicure my nails.
She said, "Don't let me break a nail on you. You better play this damn record."
You'll find
but
Tracy is a hip hop Forrest Gump. She
Oh
is
my God.
Yeah, everywhere.
I love Tom Hanks. He's from Skyline. He went to Skyline, right?
That's right. There you go.
Absolutely.
All right, Flash, let's go.
People coming, people going, people want to die. Don't ask me because I don't know why, but it's like that, and that's the way it is. People in the world come to make it beat. You travel by car, train, bus, or feet. I said you got to work hard, you want to compete. It's like that, and that's the way it is.
All right, so look, that covers two of the little parts in your loot number 2, the big crossover in Coast to Coast, because those guys hit it big, right?
Run DMC, they call
Yes,
them the
indeed.
Beatles of hip hop.
Yes, indeed.
You know, that song is very interesting. Run DMC. What's on the other? Is Sucker MC's on that one, or which?
Yeah, Sucker MC on the flip side.
So an interesting thing, like out here in the Bay, Hard Times was the cut, right? And I mean, we were playing that all the parties, and you know, and it was in sync with the up-tempo sound that people were into. But I remember going back to New York, and Sucker MCs was like a demarcation in the line. It was in the sand. It was like there's a changing of a guard. There's a new crew in town. We got these fedora hats. We got these pea coats on. We got this, you know, chains around our neck. We're not doing all the flashy costume, you know, looking like P-Funk or looking like Cameo. We keeping it to the streets. And that's when I remember going back, you know, to New York, that's where everybody was playing Sucker MCs, and it was like, Run DMC, this is what's happening. And that pioneering class of the old school, we called it the old school back then, you know, they had to contend with these new cats that were pretty much running the thing. So Run DMC really came up around that time with the release of those 2 songs, both in New York and nationally.
And how did that work out on the West Coast? How long did it take them to get to the West Coast?
I mean, Hard Times was a hit, right? I mean, it's like that was big. Yeah.
So they didn't have the problems like you were just describing that MC Hammer had going back east. They were more welcome on the West.
No. I was a major fan of all East Coast everything, and actually, and this might be to my discredit, but I was slow to you know, the San Quins and a lot of the people that we had here. You know, I learned about it after the fact. But my school, my foundation was East Coast rap, you know, be it Sugar Hill catalog, be it, like you said, Run DMC, anything that came out of the Rush camp. That was my foundation. But I still salute everybody on the West Coast.
You weren't slow at all, because when we first heard about it, it was 89.5. KPO was playing it. You know, Still Seville, Frankie J. They were playing that East Coast stuff, and we just loved it. We soaked it up. And then I will tell you this: Dr. Funk was the first person I heard play "It's Like That."
Right.
And he played it, and it was after, because "It's Like That" came out after Planet Rock.
Yeah.
And it was a natural progression for us dancing and in the clubs, and not in the clubs, in the high school dances. And it was fire. What is that? And Dr. Funk was tricky back then, because he was the first cat out here. He would get records early, but he would black out the labels.
Yeah.
So even if you snuck up on stage and look over his shoulder, you couldn't tell what it was.
Yeah. Big shout out to Dr. Funk. You know, the thing that I remember most about that song was I was in college, and so Ben Gold was the main DJ, and they would have the Alphas would do parties there, and they called themselves the Big Bank Chapter, and all the 49ers would come to those dances, and that's when you would hear that song being played into like Egyptian Lover, and Uncle Jam's Army had records out, because they used to come up and do parties as well. And so to your point, Russ, that was a natural progression, and To be honest, I don't think people looked at it as an East Coast record. I think people just thought it was something that could have been from down the block. You know, nobody was really like where they're from. They were like Run DMC, I like that. And then you hear Egyptian Lover, and then you hear some Prince.
World class record crew.
And what was it? RJ's latest arrival.
RJ's latest arrival. CJ, you heard that, CJ?
Shackles on my feet and radioactive. You know?
Oh yeah.
Let's jam. So the big crossover part, obviously, too, was the Adidas. I mean, they were like one of the first ones to make a major dent with a major company like that, right?
I mean, my Adidas was a game changer, but I don't think people really caught or were really hip to be like, can you get an endorsement deal?
Right.
Because we were still trying to get hip hop on the radio. People just is like, I like Adidas, and I don't know how it translated out here. I was always a Puma fan. I mean, I like the song, but Dave wore his Pumas, Clyde Frazier's.
Would you say that they kind of forced their hand to give them an endorsement? Because I don't know that it was where they had the endorsement first and then they did the song, right? They did the song.
Yeah, they did the song. That was their thing. They just, like rocking Adidas, and
it worked. It worked. Yeah. It worked because they were they set the trend. It worked on the Adidas side. It did not work on the Lee jeans side.
No. Right, I was going to ask.
That didn't work at all.
Yeah. People were wearing jeans back east, but not here.
Yeah, but they weren't wearing Lee.
Huh?
He was because in lyrically they would say Adidas, Lee on my eyes, Adidas on my feet. Yeah. But no one was rocking Lees. But them.
Yeah, but if you go with the sneaker progression in New York at the time, people wore what we call 69ers, Pro-Ked 69ers, and then we wore Pumas. And then Adidas came, right? Yeah, Clyde's. But then we wore Adidas. But everybody wore Lees. Lees were going all the way back to the 70s. You would sew in the creases, and and have your bell bottom Lees on and wear those. So it didn't translate out here.
Well, I will say this: I don't have those on, but my very first pair of track shoes were Puma. Yeah, and at Water High School, they were like sky blue track shoes with white Puma, whatever you call it, a swoosh or whatever. But
Jerry's wearing the shrink to fit, but he didn't shrink them yet.
You put that stiff crease. Let me tell you a real quick story. My Miller's Outpost story of the shrink to fit that we used to sell, and that was all people would wear. And then just got into the habit. I took over the store at Bayfair over in San Leandro, which is like working in a war zone back in those days, man. And people would wear their shrink to fits, and they just got into the habit of just once they start getting a little wrinkle on them, they would bring them back and just say, "Oh, these pants don't fit right," and want to trade them for some more. And the manager before me let them do that all the time. My first day there, I said, "That's not happening anymore." I put my foot down, and they looked at me like I was crazy. Saw the manicured nails, and they backed off.
Because they knew you had people. You were gonna call your mans in them.
Sometimes you don't need to be Russel Gatewood size. Sometimes they look at you and they say, "That dude is too little to be that brave. It must be something about him that." Okay, I'm gonna leave him alone.
Hey, can I ask you all a question, CJ?
Little Big Percy and Little Seymour.
CJ, don't encourage him. CJ, don't encourage him.
Hey, CJ, I wanted to ask you: were people wearing K-Swifts?
Later.
Oh, what were people wearing when I first came out here?
Shell
what were y'all wearing? Shell toes.
We got shell
toes. I was wearing K-Swiss.
That's what I mean. K-Swiss, yeah.
K-Swiss came along, but I mean, early 70s, mid 70s, where I grew up in Richmond, we were all wearing Chucks.
Yeah. Okay. It went multicolored Chucks with multicolored laces. Yeah. And then it went to Adidas, and then it went to Clyde's, then Adidas, and then from Superstars it went to Top Tens.
Yep.
And then we didn't get to Uptowns or Air Force Ones till much later.
Much later.
Well, see, that's your bougie, Russell, because I didn't have the budget to get all of that. I think I might have had some leads.
I didn't say I did it. I didn't say I did it because I was wearing Tiffs. I had Tiffs are the sneakers that you would get at the back of the aisle at the grocery store. In that big container. They be tied together, and you got to fish them out. Size 8, nope, you got to throw it up to the top. Size 8, nope, you got to throw it to the top.
Right.
Yeah, those are the ones
but you had fat. I bet you had fat laces in them anyway.
I couldn't afford that stuff. I was the one at the gym sounding like I was running down the court wearing platforms because I had tips. Tips.
Which still ain't right to this day.
No, he left the mark. He left the mark.
Bad foot Willie.
Wow.
It's all right.
Well, I love my Chucks. I love my Chucks now, but Chucks are not made for playing in. They just basically you put on your Chucks and stand still because you can't walk in, you can't play ball, and they're not made for that, man.
Fool around,
You put them
twist
on
your
the
whole
stand
ankle.
still. You know what I'm saying? All right, so CJ, well, first of all, those two songs that we just played already, that's a big crossover stuff, coast to coast. That's just what Loop 2 is all about, 1983 to 1990. For people who are just tuning in, we're talking about hip hop and how it runs the world in music, fashion, film, and TV. Our guest is Mr. Davey D. He's the co-author, along with Jeff Chang, of Can't Stop, Won't Stop. It's a book all about people like me who are not necessarily all up on all the hip hop things, but that will catch you up really quick. Is that fair to say, D?
Yes, it would. Absolutely.
Okay.
Give
All
you
right.
that foundation.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Keep that music going, CJ.
Oh, I know that song. Woo! All right.
That was my little B-boy expo.
Talk about it, CJ. Talk about it.
Oh, God. Let's see. That was 1983, the end of 83, 1984. And, oh, my God, that was a big time in the Bay Area for strutters, poppers, breakers, boogalooers, roboters, you name it. There were groups from Richmond to Fresno to San Francisco to Oakland to everywhere. And everybody would meet in these different central locations. Sometimes we'd meet at Cal Berkeley and they would battle, but other times it was the Pier in San Francisco, Pier 39, and cats would have to battle for the spot. And that song was a foundational. There were songs before that people were popping and strutting to, but that was a game changer. That was a brother named Hashim, and the song was called Al Nafish, the soul.
So he first of all, there's a whole dance history in the Bay that even predates a lot of the hip hop that comes out of New York. I mean, we're talking about, the roboting and the boogalooing and all that going all the way back to the 60s. So it's important to understand that there was a dance scene out here, and that history is a story unto itself. It's something that we touch upon in the book. But to CJ's point, not only were people up at places like Velabach Hall and then later Telegraph Avenue, you had people like the Booyah Tribe would come all the way up from LA and be down there, dancing against all the people. But that song was also a big record for DJs who were starting to come up and, cut and scratch. And, big shout out to people who don't get their props, but Positively Red was one of the dopest DJs out here who was able to cut that up. Jay Cut, from APG Crew, another person who was really got busy on that. Who else was there that really got down with that? You would hear Michael Erickson cut that. DJ Fuse.
Raul Racinos.
That's
Eric,
right.
My Emotions brother. Raul Racinos. Yes, he was incredible. DJ Hassan.
DJ Hassan, yes.
Hassan was really good. And I'm not trying to blow you up, but Flash is one of those dudes. When you talked about the cats that were doing it, and we can't forget about Kubert. Kubert, kind of changed the game, and he and the Scratch Pickles and Mixmaster Mike, they did their thing with it. That song, and everybody had at least 8 copies of it.
Yes, because you would wear them out.
Because you would wear it out, so it would sound like it would be live in concert in the beginning. But you would use the fresh copies for competition. You practiced with the worn out copy.
Yeah.
But I want to be clear, because Kubert and them were definitely game changers, but that foundation comes from the CJs and the Positively Reds and all those guys that are older and came before them and laid that down. And if you were up on the Berkeley campus, you had Quickie Kev and out of LA. And, you got to remember, Joe Cooley was up here a lot too. So we would hear that
Arabian
fast
Prince.
scratch, so Arabian Prince and all those guys. So, and we also could hear K-Day, 1580, and that would bounce up on the AM signal. So there was I want to say, a symbiotic relationship with the DJs down in LA, even though we didn't necessarily know each other. We could hear, those things that were going on. But CJ, I'm gonna give him his flowers because he's an instrumental person in this regard. He was also a Boogaloo strutter. He was part of a crew, and if you go on YouTube, you can see him doing his thing. So he was getting down with that, as well. Also, we got to give King Tech got busy on that too around that time as a DJ and as a dancer too. He was known as the Wizard. So a little bit of history there, but CJ was he was a feared individual when it came to doing his stuff.
And CJ is very, very humble, you guys, and but I'm a witness. When I was a little chicken head, just going up to the Berkeley campus, looking for somebody to put down some cardboard, to break and do everything, because we were just so enamored with the entire culture. CJ was a mainstay. Anytime there was a huddle, somebody was getting ready to start strutting and popping and whatever it was, he was there. That's how I met CJ as a kid, and saw him, cutting and scratching, and I was like, I want to do that. Now my dedication level wasn't there, so I can't blame him. But
we do. We forget that CJ was on the radio before all of us.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
he was definitely on the radio way before me. I used to, I grew up listening to CJ.
Stop.
Yes, I did.
That
A lot
troll
of
is
sounds.
coming
Lot of sounds.
Yeah,
No,
that
LA
troll-
sounds. LA sounds.
The troll is coming out, bro.
Well, we gotta find some grainy video of CJ dancing somewhere.
Absolutely.
No, he's
Some
on
grainy black and
YouTube.
white
He's
video.
on,
No,
he's on
it's
YouTube
not
right
grainy
now.
at all. It's not
Well, look,
grainy.
CJ, we gotta play that next week then, bro.
Hold on,
All right.
That's gotta be the
If you can,
extra
if you
video of
can
the
put
week.
up pictures of the foundation, we can put up pictures of you dancing.
There's
because you
video
legit,
of
right?
him DJing and dancing, but there's also video of his sister dancing.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Oh,
you
wow.
danced to dance.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
So
Hey,
you
no,
know
wait,
what?
let
Like-
me
They
interrupt
were
here.
like the Jets of Richmond.
Let me interrupt here because we're talking about dancing, and so when we think about dancing, we think about our sister in the show who had her own little b-boy kind of dance thing. Except hers was store bought. Her daddy got it. Ryan Nicole is back with us, everybody. Ryan,
Don't hate on my
just in time
on
to
my
tell that
breaker
story
board.
about what your breaker board, what your daddy bought you.
hate on my breaker board. It was these colors too. It was a yellow
Cardboard be
and a blue.
damned.
It was amazing.
Cardboard be
amazing.
damned.
That's
What's
right.
going on,
At least she
Ryan?
had a breaker board. I didn't have one. I
Hello.
wanted one. I had a
Hello.
makeshift one.
My dad was investing in my future.
Yes.
It was,
Look at you now. Look at you now.
It was the Negro College Fund.
That's right.
Breaker board.
That's right.
What's
Well, it's
up,
good to
y'all?
see you. Good to see you. We missed you
Man.
last week.
I missed you guys so much. I am knee deep in a rehearsal for As You Like It with the American Conservatory Theater, and just really missed y'all in
That's
that
all right.
process. But it's been amazing.
Well, say hello to Davey D. He's been dropping knowledge for about 45 minutes already.
My brother, man, what's up, Davey?
Miss Ryan Nicole Robeson.
Yes,
There
Say
was,
that.
there was Paul Robeson. Now there's Ryan Nicole
say
Austin
that.
Robeson.
That's it. That's it.
Filmmaker, singer, dancer, educator,
Hey,
boxer,
Come on.
physical
Come on.
fitness,
And now she's
Put 'em up, put 'em
now
up.
she's a dog owner, which might be one of the second most important things she's got going on.
You're a dog owner now?
I'm a dog owner. His name is
Yeah.
Morocco. He's a multi-poo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's precious. He's
He's
precious.
gonna keep you. He's gonna change all of your traveling habits now. You can't go too far because
What
the dog's
is a
at home
multi-poo?
by himself. You know?
It's a snack for your dog, Russ.
It's a little snack, an appetizer
Right.
for Bo.
It's a mush boosh for Bo.
Mute yourself.
All right, so Russell, now that we got your attention, why don't you tell us what you got this week for a view from the DJ booth?
Well, since we have 3 loops, I have 3 photos.
Okay.
All right. So I dug into the archives and I have 3 photos that I think kind of speak to what Davey and Jeff are putting out there. 3 photos. I'm not sure what the first one is here, but I will roll with my director, Tracy. There we go. Oh, we have them all in one panel. Okay, cool. So
I was rushing, sir. I'm sorry.
don't trip. Don't trip. So we're going to go from right to left. Okay, on the far right is none other than Miss Lauryn Hill. You could argue that there hasn't been another female to leave their mark on the game since Miss Education. You could say that she was a lyricist beyond compare. She is a lyricist beyond compare. We're so happy that she is doing her thing again, and we could catch her live. You can catch her on. She hasn't been very active on the internet, but when we do open things up, you will catch her. Do yourself a favor, come an hour and a half late, and she'll be right there when you get there. But when you see her, it is a celebration of hip hop. It is a celebration of the culture. It is a celebration of what you love about her. That's Miss Lauryn Hill right there. That's at Shoreline, I believe.
She was definitely a transformative figure. That I think people are just really starting to understand how transformative she was. And just the Fugees in general was a transformative group. Big shout out to Kevy Kev, who, of course, did KZSU down in Stanford, because he had them on early on, freestyling, busting rhymes, all of them. And of course, Lauryn was one of those people that would, hurt your feelings if you didn't have your rhyme game together. If you was in a cipher, you'd be like, let me get the mic before she does, because you didn't want to come after.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a tie-in with all 3 of these pictures and there's a tie-in with Hollywood, because you saw what she did in Sister Act 2.
Yes.
She really just, you looked at it and said, wow, there's something about this woman. This young woman is different. She is so different and very, very powerful. And it just jumped off the screen. And very happy to share that picture with you. The second picture here.
Wait, well, hold on a second. Is that her daughter that's in Grownish?
No.
Okay, because it's a kid that's in Grownish that looks a lot like a young Lauryn Hill. So I thought maybe it's her daughter.
No.
Go ahead.
So the second picture here is Yasin Bey, also known or formerly known as Mos Def. For those who are Mos Def fans, you see his iconic old school microphone that he holds a certain way. That not too many people are doing that these days. So this silhouette, I just happened to catch this silhouette. There's no filters, no nothing on this picture at all. It was just, there's a huge video panel behind him with some graphics that he has, and it just came out. I just caught a moment, and it was just perfect for me.
Amazing. Russell. My God.
And his tie-in with Hollywood, he's one of the cats who, he jumped on the scene doing some really abstract films and has fit right in. He's a really, really good actor. He studied. He's a very, very good actor. And during the pandemic and during the quarantine, the work that he did with Virgil on the Louis Vuitton fashion show was outstanding.
Yes.
If you haven't seen it, please do yourself a favor. If you love fashion, if you love hip hop, it's beautiful. It's something to see.
So let me ask a question. Queen Latifah, Will Smith, Tupac, LL Cool J, and we'll put Lauryn Hill. Who's the best rapper or hip hop artist turned actor that can really hold it down on the screen? I might even put Ryan Nicole in there once you put out.
Don't put me in there. It's cool.
Once you put out an album.
Right. I'm
going to flip that. I'm going to flip that. I'm going to say of those you mentioned, I'm going to say that Tupac was the best actor who became a rapper.
That's fair.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna go with Queen Latifah, because Queen Latifah
she can act.
Is very convincing. She's very convincing in The Equalizer. She'd be one of them people I would hire to whoop your ass, because She like she can hold her own.
I'm definitely gonna go
work-
with I'm gonna go with Tupac, and I'm gonna go with Mos Def because they have a dramatic edge to them, and I think we were cheated with Pac. We didn't get a chance to see him really get the role. I mean, Juice obviously was iconic role. In which he totally delivered, but I think there was an even more mature role that I would have loved to have seen him play, and I think we will yet see Mos Def get a role that will bring out his genius. What do you think?
You didn't think his role was mature in Poetic Justice?
It showed a lot of range. I was in love. Let me just go and put that out there. Okay? Yeah. I was in love.
If you like him as an actor, watch the movie with him and Tim Roth.
Oh yeah, Is that crime something? What was that? What was that?
It's not crime. It's called.
I know the movie. It
starts with GR. I can't think of it right now. Yeah, that one. Anyway,
that one.
Okay.
Yeah, if you really he's on the precipice right there.
Gridlock?
Yeah.
Gridlock.
That's good. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
I was relying on Queen Google, but she let me down right there.
No, because I'm thinking about Most. I was trying to go through my list, but I think Most rises to the top in terms of MCs and acting chops. I love Lauren. I haven't seen her in enough. I think she has the skill set and the ability, but I would love to see her as Nina Simone, frankly. I think they missed the boat in casting on that opportunity, but Most as Vivian, Dr. Vivian Thomas, I thought was phenomenal and something the Lord made, right?
Killed it.
Yeah, he's got skill and he's funny. He's funny, he's dramatic, he's got it all. So I'm gonna go
over
and Will Smith too. Yeah,
Will Smith. Come on, give Will his flowers.
I'm gonna give Will his acting flowers, but I'm not gonna give Will his rapping flowers.
I'm gonna give it to both. I mean, him and look at the DJ that came from the whole, Fresh Prince.
Brand New Funk was hot. It's still
ridiculous.
Hot. I love that song, but I gotta give it. You know what? It's close. It is.
Hey, y'all are leaving out Queen Latifah, who actually was nominated for a Grammy. I mean, not a Grammy.
An Oscar in Chicago. You're right.
Yeah, I said Latifah.
She's great. He did say Latifah. He started out there.
Latifah off the top.
I'm going to give Latifah. Latifah's got a mogul award from me. I think Latifah just supersedes emceeing and acting. She runs shop. She runs the game. And, I think she's way beyond just those two lanes. She does so much more.
Yeah, we can't leave out Ice Cube.
No, you can't leave out Ice Cube.
No, I'd like to leave out Ice Cube personally.
Or
Ice-T. Ice-T. He's been on television for years.
He has. I'm gonna leave him out as well.
I got two right on.
My boy from what about my boo from Wu-Tang?
Method Man's been stepping up.
Yeah, Method is stepping up. Hi, man.
He's gifted.
Y'all sleeping on Who's the Man? Y'all sleeping on Disorderlies?
Disorderlies was good.
Absolutely. Shout out.
Prince Marky D.
Prince Marky D.
All right, who's that last picture there, Russ?
Last photo is truly a view from the DJ booth, which is the God MC Rakim Allah.
Oh man.
And I got a chance to get to know him and his manager. I've known him for years, and him and his wife, great people. And I got a chance to take this shot, and I took it in black and white. And it's just him and the microphone.
Yeah,
it's just him and the microphone.
I got a chance to meet him on his book tour just a couple of years ago, and the most respectful, humble, approachable. Now, when you look at him, right, he does not look approachable, but when you do approach him, he was very gracious, very, very gracious, took a picture and everything. So to see someone, I hope that people like the younger artists can look at people like them who are very, very gracious and humble. Humble is I'm just going to keep saying that word.
Yeah.
He is. When people talk about top fives, they should not even include him in the top five, and just talk about everybody else.
Right?
Yeah.
Rakim was a game changer, and his flow, and his understanding, his love of jazz and having that type of swag when he brings his flow to the table, especially when he comes out. Remember, he comes out in the middle of that Run DMC era, and everybody's like, I'm this, I'm that, everybody's yelling on the mic, and here he comes smooth as cancer, smooth as a heart attack or whatever. And
nobody's smiling.
Ain't nobody,
and cancer. Jesus. It's very smooth, I guess.
All right, that's some great pictures there, Russell. This might be your best week yet. That's 3 icons.
Yes.
That most def is a beautiful shot, man.
Yes, it is.
It is.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is a view from the DJ booth. He takes those pictures with his camera phone on his own and just run around and just taking that. Applause to Russell Gatewood.
Amazing photo.
Thank you.
Nice
Thanks for
job
allowing me
this
to
week.
share it.
Oh no, it's part of the show. You kind of have to now. So every week. So next week. All right. So look, let's take a break for a quick second and let people know who's sponsoring the show and bringing all this to us. You are watching IRTS Live. We appreciate you being here. We got more to come with Davey D as we talk about hip hop and his new book that he co-wrote with Jeff Chang, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. We'll be right back right after this.
IRTS Live is brought to you by United Players. It takes the hood to save the hood. Lifelong medical care, offering high-quality health, dental, and social services to all ages and incomes. Safe Source LLC, where safety is our engine, and we are the key that starts it. This episode is powered by PlushLifeMedia.com. Let us remix your digital presence. Hey, we've got gear. Visit IRTSShow.com for coffee cups, caps, t-shirts, and just added IRTS Live mouse pads and personal protective masks. Founded by our own Ryan Nicole, check out Haven, a cultural media production and distribution initiative for housing justice. Find out more at havenprojectoakland.com. Join DJs Big Russ and CJ Flash for the world-famous show live Fridays, noon to 4 Pacific. Catch them on the following social media platforms. And if you'd like to join us as a sponsor, please email us at info@irtsshow.com.
Welcome back to IRTS Live. Tonight we're talking about how hip-hop runs the world in music, fashion, film, TV, and more. A discussion with Davey D. He's a hip-hop historian and an author of the new book, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. We're going to be right back with Davey in just a minute, but I've been doing these things with CJ Flash called What's Your Jam? I got one that's all about hip-hop. Our man, Showbiz. You remember Showbiz, Davey?
Showbiz,
you know
and
Showbiz?
AG? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. When he was at Wild 94.9, Showbiz did one of our What's Your Jam?
I knew Showbiz and AG.
Yeah.
The hip hop artist Soul Clap.
Oh no.
Right.
Lived around my old block in the Bronx. That's the Showbiz I know.
Okay, the Showbiz I'm talking about was a DJ for years at Wild 94.9 in San Francisco. Now he's out in Monterey doing his thing. So we're gonna cue this up. Let me see if Jerry can get this right. First, we're going to share the screen. Is that right, Tracy? Yeah, we go. Look at that. Welcome. I am Jerry Dove. I'm the host and creator of I Remember That Song in IRTS Live. I'm here with my man, my friend, my DJ, my music director, Mr. Almighty CJ Flash. What's good, Flash?
Everything is everything, brother. Everything is everything.
Everything is everything. This is going to be the running gag here until we figure out what everything means. Maybe our next guest knows. Showbiz is with us tonight. Showbiz with his long history from the Bay Area back at Wild 94.9. Right now, though, he's a co-host on the Morning Madness on 102.5 KDON Radio coming out of Salina, Santa Cruz, and Monterey. You can also hear that on the iHeartRadio app. Showbiz, what's good with you?
Man, happy to be here. Salute to UG Dove, and always respect to the DJ, stand up, CJ Flash. I'm a big fan, brother.
I'm a big fan of yours, brother. What you don't know. How about
well, I'm here to tell you, Flash, in case you did know, Showbiz with us from day one. When we did the TV show, the ones the hidden episodes now that I won't have come out until we're all like billionaires.
Right.
Then I'll let the hidden episodes come out again. He was there with that. He went to the TV show. He's been with us online. That's my man. I was his mentor for a while back in the radio days. Me and Miranda Wilson were his mentors. So it's good to see you.
By the way, this is sponsored by the Daly City Wingstop. This is posted right here.
Okay. All right. There you go. All right, Showbiz. You know what this is all about. It's What's Your Jam? So I need to know, you're a DJ. You've been doing it for a long time. You get up early in the morning to play music. What is that song that you got to play to get you going early in the music in the morning? What's that song that your K-Don folks, if they really need to hear the best of you, you need to play this song? Showbiz, what's your jam?
All right, here's my jam right here. And it's not about take out K-Don and everything out the window. It's Warren G Regulators featuring Nate Dogg, man. It's a movie. If you listen to it, the lyrics, it's a complete movie. I think Steven Spielberg needs to film, the Regulators. It starts off with Warren G cruising, going down to 21st Street, 21 and Lewis. He sees some brothers shooting dice. He hops out of his car. And then all of a sudden, he's getting robbed by these guys. All he wants to do is just shoot dice, man. Next thing you know, Warren G is getting robbed. And next thing you know, Nate Dogg's cruising around looking for Warren G. He sees Warren G getting robbed and getting beat up. Next thing you know, Nate Dogg hops out the car and kills everybody. I lay all them busters down and let my gas flow. Right? Nate Dogg kills everybody, and then Warren G they stole his Rolex. I don't even know if he got his Rolex back. And then next thing you know, Warren G gets in the car with Nate Dogg, bruised and battered, but they pick up freaks and they go to the East Side Motel. He doesn't go to the hospital. He goes straight to the East Side Motel.
Okay.
It's a movie.
Okay. So I gotta ask, because I haven't seen the video in a while. Is what you just described the actual video, or is that the Steven Spielberg?
No, but listen to the lyrics.
Okay.
I laid all them busters down and let my gas explode.
Yeah. Okay.
He's like killing people, and he's like hopping down Nate, and then Warren G is bruised and battered, and he's all, Nate got the freaks, and that's a known fact. He didn't tell Nate Dogg to take me to the hospital because I just got beat up.
I love that you said bruised and battered like it's some fillet of fish or something, but it's all good, man. I like it.
Well, Warren G was all, I'm getting that. They taking my rings. They took my Rolex. I looked at the brother, said, "Damn, what's next?" And like he was getting he got jumped by all the people that were playing dice. It's a simple, really dice game. It's an incredible song. It's a movie. It needs to be in 4K, Dolby Atmos. And, I'm here for it, man. I need Ryan Coogler or anybody to make the Regulators movie.
All right. Well, you've said it. It is out there. It shall be done.
That's why that's my jam.
I got you, brother. I'm Cherry Dove. That's CJ Flash. That has been a performance and a half by Showbiz. We'll see you next time on What's Your Jam.
It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets trying to consume some skirts for the E, so I could get some phones. Rolling in my ride, chilling all alone.
Just hit the east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G. Seen a car full of girls, ain't no need to tweak.
Showbiz is crazy. But he tells a great story. That's my man, though. He's a good young man, and I love him. And I also got to mention he was on. Right. Is he right?
He's right.
He was on Shazam, with Jamie Foxx, him and his radio partner, and they won some good money.
Nice.
A season or so ago. So yeah.
Oh, nice.
So we have to bring him on the show one time and let him expand on it. But he's hilarious.
Starbucks on him. Look at
okay. Yeah, big baller shot caller.
I'll say it on his behalf. He got kids. He got kids. He can talk about that.
I can never listen to Regulate again.
Right.
His interpretation is like you hear it, but the way he describes, like the guy got beat up, and it's like, you know.
I let all the busters down. I let my gut explode.
And did he get his Rolex back?
And didn't go to the hospital. Did not go to the hospital. Just got beat up and went to the East Side Motel.
You see the
Right.
story was so good. I said, was that an extended version of it? Did I see that video?
He's right. He's right. It's in
All right,
the
Showbiz,
song.
I know you're watching out there, brother. So we love that and we appreciate you, and we got to get you on the show. Thank you for being part of What's Your Jam. Now, look, if some of you guys want to be a part of What's Your Jam, just hit me up in the IRTS VIP Lounge, or hit up CJ, or hit up Tracy or Ryan or Russell, and just let us know, and we can do it. We can do it. So we can do it and have some fun with you too. All right. Speaking of having fun, CJ Flash, you ready for IRTV?
Yeah.
All right. So let's see what you got this week for the I Remember That video of the week.
All right. This is going to be a fun one. I'll tell you about it after I play it. You'll get it. It'll make sense after you see it. Here we go.
I am New York City. Y'all ready to party? Y'all ready to party? I am. If y'all ready to party, say yeah! Yeah! Say hell yeah! Just like that. If you wanna know the real deal about the two, let's tell you, we're double trouble girls, and we're doing it just for you. Now people, clap your hands, clap, just clap your hands. While you're rocking to the beat of the two, and we got the master plan. So clap your hands, young ladies, y'all ready? And fly guys, if you wanna get down with us, get up on the floor, get up, and everybody just show your stuff. Now, if you don't know the real deal about the two, let us tell you, we're double trouble girls, and we're doing it just for you. So come on, take it right well. Don't pause it, don't you dare stop, my man. Well, just get on your mic, turn on your mic, get on your mic, and start the hip hop.
Now, here's about to see, I know a rock well, got a lot of money, I got a lot of clientele, but it won't be happy most definitely till you listen to the voice of my mother about to see.
And I hear KK say I'm glad to be down with the two MCs with the funk and snap. But a party's not a party, beat is not a beat until you listen to the brothers that sound so sweet.
And now, here's about to see, don't have to believe. If they don't believe you, they have to hear it to believe. The party is the church, and let me tell you again, you listen to the sound, no end.
And I hear rock well, you know it down below. We got rhymes galore, we got rhymes galore. But we only came here to settle the score, so let's give everybody what they all pay for, what they all pay for, what they all pay for. Here's a little story that must be told about two cool brothers that will put all hope each other. Hold us back from fortune and fame. They destroyed the crew and they killed our name. They tried to step on the ego and walk on the pride. But true blue brothers stand side by side. Through thick and thin from beginning to end. This battle we lost, but the war will win. Cause
Okay, CJ Flash. I was waiting to see you jumping out there, man.
I wasn't in New York at the time.
All right, talk about that video, brother.
Charlie Ahern's Wild Style. That was Double Trouble, and they came from a group called the Funky 4+1. You guys all know Shah Rock and the whole 9 yards. But that was KK Rockwell and Little Rodney C. They broke off from the group, and then they went on and did Double Trouble. And that was a classic moment inside of Wild Style. It's one of those things that when we saw Wild Style in '83, we like, oh, snap. This is it. We're in the middle of it. This is it. So
The missing puzzle piece, almost, right?
yeah.
Let's talk about movies and hip hop for a little bit. Okay, we're going into loop number 3. How about that, Davey? From like 91 and 97, we had a real renaissance of black movies, and they were charged and triggered by hip hop. So talk about some of your favorite hip hop based movies that came out in those early 90s.
I mean, you started to get movies like Menace to Society, New Jack City. What else did we have? I was going to say Fight the Power. Boys in the Hood, you know. No, Breaking came out before then. That was back in the 80s. But I think you're starting to see a few things going on. One is that they're realizing that if you bring hip hop artists onto the screen, you're going to get an audience that you otherwise may have stayed home. So that's one thing. you're starting to get stories that are told from the other side of the tracks. People were like, that's cool, but I'm from the east side of Oakland. Let's talk about that part. I'm from South Central. I'm from Compton. So you started to see that sort of subject matter being talked about in these movies. And, it served two purposes. One, it gave people a voice who didn't necessarily have one. And two, I think for people in different parts of the country, they were able to see another side of our community that, otherwise was hidden. I think many people back east was like, I didn't know LA was like that. We got to see some of those quote unquote ghetto tales. Some people say that it overshadowed some of the brilliance and some of the cultural aspects of our community that were really along the lines of fighting for freedom and really kicking down doors. There was a lot of comedies and some of the hood tales, and people felt like, where were the freedom struggles to also match that? But there's no doubt that those movies definitely sent a message to people that the hip hop audience was craving a representation, and that if you appeal to them, you're going to be able to make some money.
I know, Spike Lee and Do the Right Thing was 89, but I definitely consider that a hip hop film,
No, I do too. Yeah.
Right. And the representation of, thank you, babe, of all the different folks. I don't know, all the different types of people. I loved how he kind of represented the cross section of young people at the time, where there was, your African kind of, 5%er type of brother, and then you had your real hip hop bro, and then, you had the street cats, but it was a hip hop film as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Right. We also can't forget John Singleton. I know we mentioned Boys in the Hood, but I think John Singleton with Higher Learning and some of the other things also get in there. Also, somebody mentioned something about the soundtrack. So this goes back to your domain, Tracy, and Hammer and Louis Burrell, because they played a key role in at least bringing to the forefront that urban soundtrack. You hadn't really seen it curated like that until that Busted family came along and really started to, I think, redefine it at the very least as to what that would mean. I mean, there were always soundtracks from the Superfly days and all that, but I think for a new generation, I think they kind of, expanded what you could do when you had a movie out and you tapped in not only to the visibility of some of these artists, but why not have them do songs, and why not really have a soundtrack? Some of those soundtracks were better than the movie. If you really think about it,
Absolutely.
It's like, I love the soundtrack. And it's like, what movie is it from? I don't know.
For us to land the Rocky soundtrack of all soundtracks, to be able to curate the music for that, and debut some of, Hammer's artists for that soundtrack. I thought that was amazing. It did pretty well. And like you said, there were a lot of soundtracks that did that were stronger, left us a stronger impression. You think about Boomerang, obviously. You think about the one with Tupac, with Death Row. What soundtrack is that?
Above the Rim.
Above the Rim soundtrack. That really took on a life of its own. I just applaud each and every hip hop mogul, that stepped into that space. We cannot forget Andre Harrell.
Yes, absolutely.
Who, with he really kind of kicked the door open, I think, in a lot of ways for not only soundtracks but creating film. So definitely we salute Andre Harrell.
Yeah, because now that you mention him, then we have to look at TV. And we have to look at like New York Undercover and things like that. And then
James and Toomey.
Yeah. Oh, well, James, that's a whole. You need to do a show just on James and Toomey.
Absolutely.
James and Toomey needs to get his flowers. That's a whole other.
Yeah, he was the music supervisor for New York Undercover.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Was he really? Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay, but then also if we're talking about movies, then that leads us to all the love stories. The Nia Long type of films, and what's
Lord
that?
Jesus.
What's that other man's name? Women liked him.
Lorenz.
No, not Lorenz.
Oh, okay.
No, not Lorenz. The other guy.
Oh, the ladies love the Todd.
No, the other guy, the buff guy, the football player guy. You know what I'm
Oh,
talking about. Maurice Chestnut.
Morris.
Yeah. Morris. You said Maurice. You know Maurice? Yeah.
I was like, Maurice?
Mowing him.
I wasn't paying attention to Maurice. We were looking at Nia Long.
Right.
She's the one that made these. She's the one that made these movies. Am I right or wrong, Russ?
Was she in it all?
You are absolutely right, bro.
You know, the Nia Long. These were Nia Long movies that had Maurice Chestnut in.
What time is
it? Well, listen, we got to talk about, Love Jones, Brown Sugar.
Yeah.
We got to talk about just
Have Plenty.
Have Plenty. There's so.
What's that one when they were in the Black
New Jersey
Martha's
Drive?
Vineyard? What's that one?
Yeah.
In the Black Martha's Vineyard, what was that one?
Which one did?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
With Lorenz Tate, I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
I missed what he said.
I can't think of
Black Martha's Vineyard, that movie they did.
Inkwell.
With Jada Pinkett.
Inkwell.
Yeah, Inkwell.
Jason's lyric. My God. Yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah.
Poetic justice.
Now look, we gotta go
You're
back for a
sitting up there
second.
talking about Tretch. Look at you. Look at your face.
Listen,
Let's talk about.
Ooh. Liz Hunty, that wall scene. My God.
My God.
Let me go back for a second and talk about Spike Lee, because Spike's movies were all musically driven. School Days, Girl 6 was all about Prince. Get on the bus, do the right thing. So many of all of his movies were just music driven, and he was playing stuff that we just weren't going to hear anywhere else. So thank you, Spike, for that.
Yeah, and he really embraced hip hop. I mean, for him to have his opening song be "Fight the Power," and that scene will always be one of the most pivotal scenes, because you have Rosie, who's dancing and really just doing all the hip hop dances to the strongest of her ability, right? But just these songs and the how he positioned Public Enemy, who at that time was one of the most controversial groups ever,
right?
And one of the most popular.
What's most incredible about his filmmaking ability with that particular scene, we touched about it earlier on a previous show, but when they recorded that scene, she was dancing to Mustang Sally.
Really?
Yes, and she was dancing to Mustang Sally. And then when Public Enemy saw the cut, he asked them to look at the cut and come up with something. When they came out with it, and he first heard the first line, 1989, a summer, he put it in there, and it fit perfectly with what she was doing.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Hey, can I ask you a question, Tracy?
Yes, sir.
What was the relationship with Andre Harrell and the soundtracks with Busted and all that? How did that kind of come about? Was it you all first, or Andre, or was it interaction? I remember that you all was talking about the soundtracks, but I didn't know how it kind of unfolded.
Well, Andre, I want to say he may have stepped in that space, prior to, but I know that when it came to like Andre Harrell and Lil Silas Jr. and Russell and all of these major decision makers, the people that really, I don't want to say held the strings, right? But they were very powerful. They all were friends. They were friends and really would spar all the time. It would be times I would be able to go into Lewis's office and just sit there, and he's on the phone with one of them, and they are all alpha men, and they're going back and forth about what they're going to be doing, right? But they were actually friends, and they admired each other. And if I had to do an interview, in which I am going to be doing an interview with Lewis, just to talk about how they helped each other. Wow. In a lot of those spaces, opening doors for each other.
We mentioned the dancing. Ask Lewis about his dancing, because I think he was before you, Flash, back in the days.
Who, Louis Silas Jr.?
Louis Burrell.
Oh, Louis Burrell.
Yeah.
Wow. Burrell.
Yeah.
I didn't know he could dance. I heard that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
He could.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
But he's no CJ Flash. He's no CJ Flash.
No, I would say that was a tepid little shot. Yeah, he could.
I really
He used to boogaloo.
I didn't know.
But if you don't know, now you know.
You know? And speaking of things we need to know, Tracy, you ready to give us the latest on the entertainment news?
Listen, I got a little tidbit for you guys. You know what I mean? It's a lot that I missed because I'm trying to condense it, right? But there are some things that we could, just kind of touch on a little bit. And this time I kind of mixed it up a little bit. We talked about a little bit of technology. Earlier today, we were talking about how we did a birthday party on Clubhouse for Hammer. The audio world is something that is really, really blowing up. I must admit, I was kind of late on the podcast front. I was more of someone, with video and whatever was visually stimulating. But I've really come to love what Clubhouse offers. You'll find on stages, you'll see the game on a stage and major venture capitalists on the stage, and it's like a big mashup of thought leaders. And so Clubhouse is really kind of taking the lead on that. And so now we see Spotify buys the audio app Locker Room. So we will see, this might be a good time to jump on Locker Room before they really try to put their fingerprint in this space. But that's something to keep on your radar. A lot of you guys were able to see the Tina. Did you guys see the Tina documentary?
Yes,
I did.
Yes,
I did.
Amazing, right? I'm so happy that we're able to see, what's going on with Tina. She's an amazing icon. And I was scrolling, trolling rather, like David would say. I was trolling the internet, and I saw where, in the documentary, there was mention about a racial slur that was done by one of the Capitol executives at that time, 40 years ago, obviously, right? But it made me think about, first of all, this is almost the last day where we're saluting women, right? Tina is one of the most resilient people if not, in the music industry, but also in the world. She put up with Ike. All right. She put up with Ike. She survived Ike. And then here she is. She's, got a brand new start, fresh new start. She signs to Capitol Records. I could just see her now with her jean jacket and, walking down the street. But now you have one of your own executives, referring to you in a slur. And so if you guys have not seen that documentary, make sure you go out and check it out and salute this general in the creative space, Tina Turner.
I watched it last night. It's riveting.
Yeah. So we salute you, Tina. We're definitely praying for your complete healing. But I just wanted to kind of highlight, the fact that she's very, very resilient. And here's another young lady right here from the Bay Area, Saweetie. And apparently video has surfaced where there was a physical altercation in an elevator. I don't know what it is about the elevator, Ryan. Nicole.
It's too small. You can't, people get claustrophobic and then they might get.
It gets tight. And then
it does.
And then they forget there's
give her
cameras
6 feet or something, probably.
There's cameras in there too, seeing everything you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, listen, because she's from the Bay,
okay,
that's now my little cousin or my niece.
Okay.
So Quavo, I'm gonna need you to straighten up and fly right, because we're gonna come for you, bruh. We're coming for you for our niece, all right? So we don't want to see no more altercations, all right?
Well, I think they gotta be.
I hope she got the
done.
best of it. I hope she Solange'd him. She gave him a foot five.
Listen, I hope so too. Because if not, I'm gonna shut up. All right. So now I just was glancing at the Billboard charts, and shout out to to D Nice. He had one of the most added records for No Plans for Love, and that's with featuring Neo. So congratulations. And he won NAACP Entertainer of the Year. So salute to you. What an amazing accomplishment. And then also #1 on the charts, and this kind of took me by surprise, is just the Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber with Peaches. All right, Jerry, you all right? You breathing? Yeah. So I put that on there just to get that little understanding from our very own Jerry Dove. How do you feel about Justin Bieber being?
Well, needless to say, I'm taking my manicured nails, and I can't give that. I can't give it that. I can't give it that.
Listen,
if it makes other people happy, that's cool. But I can't even begin to listen to that. Come on.
He's the original. He's the original JB.
David D.
So also we mentioned it earlier. Happy birthday to MC Hammer. This is his birthday today. And if there's other entertainment news, obviously I can't squeeze it all in, you guys. But if ever there's something that you would like for me to cover, you can reach me at Plush Life Media on Instagram. You can DM me, slide in my DM, and say, hey, we should talk about this. We should talk about that. Yeah, so that's it this week. Entertainment news, your girl.
Very nicely done, as always, Tracy. Thank you very much for that. I feel up to date. I feel up to date.
You feel up to date and whatnot. Okay.
I'm up to date. Yeah, that's good. So, what do you think about those new segments we get now, Davey? We didn't have those the last time. You like these segments?
This is very nice. I didn't know about the Spotify thing. That's good. Good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would love to hear you in that space. Absolutely.
I'm on the radio every day. I'm not trying to go to another platform to start talking some more. That's like when I'm on Twitch and we're DJing. It's like I'm not talking.
Right.
We're on every single day. Doing radio. The last thing I'm going to do is on my off time. Be like, hey, no.
All right, so look here.
If I host a room, you have to come. You know what I mean? And
I'll come for you. I'll come for you and Ryan.
Yes.
And maybe Flash, but not Russ.
Unless
Russ gives me that shirt, I'm going to come with you, Jerry.
Thank you.
You're forever my friend.
There you go.
I got first dibs on the shirt. I don't know.
But that shirt, if Russ gives me the shirt off his back, then
I guess you're not going to Clubhouse.
No,
right. It's okay.
Because
we'll tell you how to went.
Davey, you have to do a lot more push-ups in order to get me a shirt, bro. I have no mediums in my
Nice. All right, but look, we got about 30 minutes left in this show. I'm gonna get some more music in. I want to get some more topics in, so we still gotta get to loop 4, which is 98 to 2020. Loop 3, though, in the book, Dave, you talk about City on Fire, New Wars, Ladies First, Keeping It Real, Tupac and Biggie. And of course, we could do a whole show on Tupac and Biggie. So with all due respect, I don't even want to start because they'll be giving them short shrift, and we don't want to do that because of the time space. We all know and love Tupac and Biggie. We know that story and all like that. So touch on some of the other subject matter in Loop 3, City on Fire, New Wars, Ladies First, Keeping It Real. What's that about?
Well, the most important thing I think that we did in the book was we were very intentional about reminding people, not just in a token way, but in Loop 3, we actually do a full-on chapter. But throughout, you see the presence of women. Women, I think, were often seen as a side thing or an afterthought when we tell the story about hip-hop. We'll mention a few, Lauren, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, but we're not talking about the overall contributions and presence that women had from Jump Street, starting with Kool Herc's sister, Cindy Campbell, and helping him, organize that first party, all the way up to, the impact that people like Shaw Rock had in terms of being just a prototype for many of us who are MCs, to, Roxanne Shante, who actually won, we feel. I was at that new music seminar when she, I think beat Busy Bee, but they was like, nah, we're gonna give it to somebody else. She found out later when Curtis Blow was like, nah, I couldn't let a woman win because the face of hip hop couldn't be a young teenage girl. She told her that. So we know, we talk about all those type of incidents and stories, and we talk about the LA rebellion with Rodney King, the gang truce that comes out in 92. And then we also talk about, the expansion of hip hop and how, all these different cities have 30 and 40-year histories, and that you can do just a whole history of the Bay, a whole history of Houston, a whole history of Philly, whole history of Miami, and that these are vibrant scenes. And the overall point that we're getting at is that there are social, economic, political conditions that I think bring about a cultural response or a cultural way in which people navigate. And those scenes have a music component. Those scenes have a dance component. In New York, we called that scene hip hop, but in DC, you might have called that scene go-go. In Chicago, you might have called it house. Out here in the Bay, there were funk bands that had, all these garage bands. So your Kyries and your E40s and, your Ant Banks, and we can name all these people, Al Eatons and, Tommy and Denny. All these people were musicians that eventually were able to bring that musicianship to hip hop. And that's a story unto itself. And so we try to remind people that there's a New York story, but there's also all these regionalisms that we want people to pay attention to and dig deep into. And so that's just part of the highlights that we got into. Of course, the Pac and Biggie stories are important. And then we also talk about the political aspect. We mentioned the Latin Quarter, and Russ has that native tongue shirt on. Well, Latin Quarter is a big reason why you have the native tongue, because you have what we call intentionality, people looking at the political situation that they're in and saying, we're going to take our talent collectively and we're going to change course. We're going to maybe stop wearing gold chains and start putting on African medallions. We're going to start talking about these books, they came before Columbus, Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, all these different things. James and Toomey and others were big influences on what we call the Afrocentric period of hip hop. But that gives, that was highlighted by people like X-Clan, Public Enemy, and KRS-One, but underneath them come the Jungle Brothers and Tribe Called Quest, and all these folks that we now associate with the native tongues. But those are remarkable stories that, and histories that we can't discount. And on the West Coast, a few years later, we have the Good Life Cafe, and up in the Bay, you have the Upper Room. So there were these conscious movements that were always present in hip hop. And we try to touch upon that and remind people that we were always, bringing a certain type of spirit and energy to try to change the dynamics of systemic oppression that we were all dealing with and all facing, which, hip hop is, birthed out of.
Nice.
Thank you, Davey. I'm sitting here beaming with pride of just how necessary you are, globally, as a voice and a, just someone who can really wave the banner for hip hop and really articulate it in such a way that anyone in any language would understand. I'm honored to know you, and I want you to sign my book. All right.
Real talk.
Okay,
I want to say that this book, which I have here in my lap, is extremely accessible. It's a necessary reference book for anybody who thinks that they have an affinity to hip hop, thinks they're doing hip hop, is connected to hip hop anyway, or is curious about it. That this is a reference book, but it doesn't read like an encyclopedia. It is accessible. It reads like snapshots. It's like Polaroid stories. For the new generation, and really for all of us.
Yeah, we did it in stories. So if we did an encyclopedia, and I did hand in an encyclopedia, and Jeff is like, we're not doing 400 pages with you for a 300-page book. So, he cut out a lot of things, but he also said that, one of the things that we were reminded of, we can change the names, but I think you read the book, Ryan. But if we talk about the conditions in which we are experiencing, those things are with us from generation to generation. So if we tell about oppression in 1970, you're most likely going to be able to relate to it in 2020. So even if you don't know the names, you can be like, oh, we're dealing with police terror right now. I like the way that they fought back in the 70s. I like the way they fought back in the 80s. I can see how they're fighting back in the new millenniums. And so we try to bring that to the forefront, not so much the oppression, but the ways in which hip hop triumphed over those, conditions. And so a lot of the book is a story of triumph, and hopefully people see themselves in it.
Okay.
Well, Ryan, I know you came in a little bit late, but just in case you're confused, yes, that is a picture of Britney Spears over his shoulder.
Oh my!
He's dropping all that knowledge. You do see Britney in the back, and he's proud of it. So
hey, listen.
Look at her.
B Spizzle is one of the best MCs ever.
Sprizzle.
Be spizzle. Don't sleep on her.
Hey CJ, how about you play some music for us, CJ?
You would say something.
You gonna play Britney Spears?
What's happening? The taste the bass flow coming from a zero. Tell me what a sis know. Funk lesson is a new flow. Stalking, walking in my big black boots, living off the earth, eating herbs and fruits. The children await me by the mountain and the river, and gather around the fire for the scroll that I deliver. Let's speak of a house that's from the sand to the sky. If there was ever doubt and want to measure how high, your logic reveals you, your mind can't catch it. Dimensions of a god go far beyond brackets. Come into my oven, devils, come and you burn. I can always be a vulture with the strength and black word. You're pissing me off because you swear you're higher level. Back to your cave, get yourself together. Chili and McGilla, chocolate and vanilla. How can polar bears swing on vines with the gorillas, please? Check your reasoning, cause there's something amiss. My home is a void, you drown in abyss. I teach you funk code and don't preach a rap rhyme. Harambe to the sun as the mortals ask time. What time is it? The funk lesson comes, the sundial speaks.
All right, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice.
Salute to CJ Flash for that one.
Who and what was that? Who and what was that, CJ? Tell
That was a
everybody.
group called X Clan. A song was called Grand Verbalizer, and it was one of those songs that everybody had their fists in the air, like, yeah,
Vainglorious.
Can we talk about in any one of you, Russell or whatever, because y'all were promoters, that song and that group broke, not in New York City where they're from, but the Bay Area is where it broke.
Yeah.
We were the first ones to play them on commercial radio.
Yeah.
We were the ones that bigged up them. I mean, the Bay, because of its affinity towards funk, which,
Right.
Which is what they were into. Yeah, if you talk to Paradise and them, they say, the Bay was like a home for them. This is the market in which they flourished. Their message resonated with us, and so
everybody's uncle or aunt or mom was a Black Panther. So it was like there was different kind of conversations happening here in the Bay Area in our families more so than maybe other areas. So maybe that contributed to it.
It was fertile ground for that entire movement. They were selling African medallions at Safeway. Look.
Would you like an African medallion with your bagel, sir?
No, I know with my schmear. I like it with my schmear, please. But the Bay was so fertile because the seeds have been planted in the 60s and have stayed there, and these trees that are growing from these, as let's quote them, the roses that are coming out of concrete, they just soaked all that up. And X Clan was I was conflicted by them, but I really appreciated them. I appreciated Arrested Development. I appreciated our own Paris.
Yeah.
The
Boot from the Coup.
Yeah, exactly. Shout out Pam. Shout out Pam.
Yes, Pam the Foster's.
Yeah, I was down with everybody except for D Knowledge. That was the only one I wasn't
Knowledge.
the only one I wasn't really cool with. But
what is higher?
What is
Burn?
Shut up.
Man. It's higher.
Burning.
Poor righteous teachers.
Yes.
Or righteous teachers, always. Yes.
Yeah.
But the Bay was fertile ground for anything that was we'd like to call it conscious rap, and shout out to Conscious Daughters.
Yes.
But we like to call it conscious rap. And the artists that were in other parts of the country, they would see how accepted they were here in the Bay, and they would just come here. They would just come hang out. Not even a tour.
Yeah.
They would just come hang out and say, yo, what's going on? You see people like Keith, Guru would just come hang out.
Yeah.
Because we were so welcoming. And it didn't always happen the other way with the East Coast.
Right.
They fronted on us a lot, but we loved everything.
But we also had a history of radio shows, and early on, we formed the union. We Volcrom. So Kevy Kev, K-Poo, which was the anchor of that. KVSU, the folks down in San Jose State, ourselves over at Calix, and then
Stockton too.
Yeah, and then afterwards you start to get like your wake up shows early on, which really hold that down. So Sway and Tech and all that, and I think that's something that remember, hip hop was not on the radio consistently, but but it was in this market that it was able to get on the radio. So, we go all the way back to the 9 o'clock beat, remember, with KSOL. And then, later, it's 24/7 with us. And then, of course, K-Day. You can't talk about it without including K-Day down in LA. But when these folks came out here, they had platforms which to do it, and that was real important. That's one reason it broke. These artists were able to break out here.
Because you were on the radio out here at a major radio station, and you had an appreciation and a love for hip hop, and that translated in your interview and your interaction. I want to say that's probably why you might be a contributing factor as to why a lot of people from the East Coast embraced us the way they did.
I think it's a little bit of everything, because a lot of people are also traveling, right? And a lot of people, one thing about Oakland is that when Oakland goes to another place, it kind of represents, Yeah. But it also gets a certain type of love. So I've been to places where people would just be like, "Oh, you're from Oakland," and it'd be a different type of conversations. I think it was a combination of us representing, holding it down, and being aware that when we are other places, that to at least plant seeds, amongst other folks, of what's happening. And lastly, and one of the things that we highlight, there was an independent game here. People knew that they were 3,000 miles away from New York, and they didn't want to, so they weren't going to get that sort of access. And nobody wanted to be like LA if you were from the Bay. So everybody had to do for self. So shout out to, like, we had a soul beat. When you had Soul Train, we had Soul Beat, right? Just the same way when Disney World or Disneyland comes from Fairyland, not the other way around. So there's a lot of innovation in the Bay that I think, people soaked up. Gavin Convention was here. That was huge.
Absolutely.
Now, let me ask you this, Dave, and the whole panel for that matter. I was in radio for like 19 years, and I was always amazed that in the fourth largest market in the United States, there's only one hip hop station. How did that happen? How does that happen?
What, you mean here?
Here.
Well, there wasn't one hip hop station.
What's the one hip hop station?
Well, now.
What's the one hip hop station?
You're talking about?
What's the one hip? I'm sorry.
Okay.
Is there a hip hop station here?
Okay.
I don't know
But why is there not more representation?
I think early on we had all the college stations. So we, after a certain point, people weren't necessarily looking to have a hip hop station. The goal was not to be on the major station, because I think there was a lot of movement and a lot of success outside of that. And so it was a bonus to get on those other stations and have platforms. But the goal was not necessarily to be on there unless you were able to do it on your own terms. And I think everybody that eventually got to those places, at least in the 90s, were able to do a lot of it on their own terms. That's real important. And we were able to keep our other platforms. So I know when I was on the commercial station, I was still on the on two college stations, on Calix and KPFA and Kevy Kev and others. We were all able to kind of maintain both. And I would not diminish the impact that we had on those smaller stations versus the major. The major was big, but I think we were able to do we had a lot of impact on those smaller stations. And so many people came out of there. Defari, Kwamala, Oliver Wang, Jeff Chang was on, he was on radio, Soul Sides. I mean, we can go, when you look at all the crews that came out of the college stations, it's a pretty impressive thing. Conscious Daughters was on college radio. Digital Underground was on college radio. So, Paris was on radio. So a lot of folks came out of those enclaves and left their marks. And
so where is that now? Where is that? What's going on with that now?
I don't know if it matters. I'm with Russ. Does it matter anymore? I listen to you all on Fridays. That's my radio station.
Well, there you go. That's a good segue into what's going on Fridays. Russ, give me 30 to 45 seconds on Fridays with Russ and CJ.
Fridays is the world famous show. It's on Mixcloud. It's on hotdogwater.com. It's on Facebook Live, Instagram Live. Those two platforms will be intermittent. They go on and off because of, they play their games. But the livest and the best experience is on Mixcloud and Twitch.tv and Periscope. And it's 4 hours, 4 turntables, 2 mixers, 2 DJs, and you. You control the show a lot of the times. We just go in different directions. We're inspired by the chat. That the chat rooms are so active. They actually control what we do at the end of the show for the Slow Jam Battle, except for this week. This week, the Slow Jam Battle is going to be in honor of verses. This week, the Slow Jam Battle will be the Isley Brothers versus CJ Flash.
Nice. Because CJ Flash, if you cut him, he will bleed EW and F.
Oh boy.
Really? He's an Earth, Wind, and Fire fan like that?
Oh my God.
Yes.
Show me your Maurice tattoo hairline.
Oh, that's fine.
Not Maurice.
Dave, see all that?
Maurice Chestnut. No.
Hey, Maurice.
But we all know that War was the better group.
No,
War.
Oh no.
War, man. I'm sorry, man.
He's our guest. Be gentle. He's our guest.
Don't let your troll mouth write a check.
All right.
Hey, I did a 2-hour mix of War versus Earth, Wind, and Fire. We all know that War with that group, man. Let's give them their props, man.
I love War. I love War. I love War.
I know you love War.
Howsoever.
It's about to be a war.
War had the early break beats. Listen to my heartbeat. Tobacco Road. Go back, man. You heard War at those early parties.
Oh.
And Brazilian song you heard. Earth, Wind, and Fire, but
troll.
It's not no troll.
All right. Okay, kids. You're both pretty. You're both pretty. Okay.
Can you pull out Heartbeat for us, please? By War.
Oh my God!
That's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. So go ahead, Tracy.
I was just gonna say this is a good time while these brothers fight in the background. Don't worry about all the noise and the bumping and stuff in the background. Make sure that you are joined in with us at the VIP lounge. So there is the IRTS show VIP lounge. There you will be able to interact with Jerry and some of us, ask questions, all of that cool stuff. So make sure that you are a member of the VIP lounge. Also, we want to make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. If you just got to know us as we were going live, as we were kind of in hiatus and we can't film in person, you are missing out on a lot of the shows that we already have on the YouTube channel. So go and subscribe right now. Okay, or no, in about 5 minutes. When we're done. Go, but make sure you do that, and make sure it's not too late for you to tag some people in the comments so that they are aware that we come on every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Pacific.
Now, look, since you brought up being part of the family here, let me throw this in here real quick, and then we're going to get back to some more music. And we're going to see what Ryan's doing and also what Davey's doing. But Davey wants to give away one of these books.
Yes.
One of these books.
Yes.
Can't Stop, Won't Stop. And if you don't want it by now, you should have left this show a long time ago, because this is all about that book. So here's what I want you to do. Since Tracy brought up all our social media platforms, write this down. I'm going to say it slowly. Info at IRTSshow.com. Info at IRTSshow.com. If you type to me the name that Davey D gave to Morris Chestnut, no hints. You write down that name and send it to info at IRTSshow.com. You will be in the drawing, and we will get that book out to you. Well, Davey, you'll get that book out to him this week, right?
Yes, I will.
All right, so the name that he labeled Morris Chestnut, info at IRTSshow.com. You can have a copy of Can't Stop, Won't Stop. Now, CJ Flash, can you get one more song in for us?
I sure can.
Okay.
Enter into a new realm, a new dimension. Pay close attention and witness knowledge born on a microphone for the people that I call my own. Remember back when good rap was just a cool dance hit, even though it wasn't saying this shit. But them days is gone, I don't play that. Pick the punk and I'll say like whack. Stick with the sick style for the serious. Hip hop lovers can't get enough of this.
Black tracks on wax are so smooth, you can't help but to start to move. This is a call and a plea for unity. Black is back, uplift and be free. Keep pushing, the movement moves on. So strong now.
Nice. All right, we're gonna have to make these comments quick now. Who wants to give me a few seconds on that song?
Paris.
Yeah.
Straight out of San Francisco. Man, that changed it. That changed our perspective. We saw that coming because he came out of nowhere, really. And the whole Tommy Boy link, it was like, wow, they are taking us seriously. And it was the music was dope. The messaging was brilliant. He got his point across in more ways than seven. He was really respected across the game, and it was a good look for the Bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as an entrepreneur, right? I mean, he has a label. He's responsible for Conscious Daughters, right?
Yeah.
You know, which amazing group that I saw live for the first time, like Davey said, at the Gavin convention, and they bodied that stage. What were you going to say, Ryan?
No, just saying that my homeboy KEV, my partner in rhyme, is always on tour with Paris. Paris still tours. Paris still does work. And he's still a phenomenal entrepreneur. He really has that Bay hustle in him deep.
Yeah, I was going to say Paris is taking the Bay. I mean, the Bay Area hustle to another level. So like your Mystic Journeymans, like your Soul Sides and Hyros, he found out early that you can be in markets overseas. Right. So people would be like, I never heard of him. Well, go overseas. Yeah. And you start to see like some of these groups are really big time. And so he personifies that. But my favorite story with Paris was him coming up to Summer Jam in 94. No, I think it was 92. And he gets on stage and he drops a song called Bush Killer. Nobody had ever heard it. Yes. And he does this song and it has an Atomic Dog beat. And he talks about, he's like, I'm going to change the election. It's like, I'm going to use this song to influence the election. It was Bill Clinton versus whoever. But at the end of the day, he got a visit from, the government. The record label, said, you're not going to have any impact on this election. It moved his album back. And, and that was the power of hip hop, in terms of like not allowing that album to see the light of day until after the 92 election. But I saw 22,000 people stand on their feet and jam to that, so I always love him for his music. But Bush Killer and him doing that song, that was a hip hop moment for me.
Yeah, that was courage.
Yeah, one for the culture, really. That's a huge, bold move.
Yeah. All right, look, Tracy, while you were talking, tell us what you got going on this week.
Oh man, listen, you can always come and holler at your girl directly. You can even go live with me on Instagram if you want to, now that they have the ability to do 4 people. So we come on and we talk about whatever the current events are. We talk about dating, we talk about makeup, we talk about whatever we feel like talking about. So you can follow me at Plush Life Media. We did a big giveaway, and actually one of the viewers, I think I did a giveaway last week for a gift card, and one of the viewers, she inboxed me, and she is a winner. I don't have her name readily available, but congratulations to you. Thank you for viewing us here on IRTS show. And thank you for jumping in my DM. But yeah, so I'm always
you
doing.
did a great job today hosting that birthday celebration for MC Hammer on
Congrats.
Clubhouse.
Congrats.
So more of that to come, I'm sure, right?
Yes, definitely follow me on Clubhouse. We're going to be having discussions. Hopefully we'll have an IRTS show club coming up soon, so we'll be able to talk music, in the live audio format. Maybe we can drag Davey D in there, at a time where he's not exhausted from doing all that he does. But that would be amazing. We could talk about that.
He already said he would, so go ahead. Ryan Nicole, you're acting at ACT Theater in the theater.
I'm not acting. I'm the music director. So we've converted a Shakespearean play into a musical. I wrote 10, 11-ish tracks for As You Like It, and am currently teaching those songs to the MFA students, the Masters in Fine Arts students, who will perform them. So that's happening. But tomorrow, I want you guys all to tune in to Hillsburg Jazz Festival. I am the librettist, which is just a fancy word of saying the spoken word artist, for a piece composed by Tammy Lynn Hall, who was a brilliant pianist, which is she has imagined a conversation between Nina Simone and Mary Lou Williams, two of the preeminent jazz pianists who never really got to cross paths because of the issues, I think, around sexism, quite frankly. And so you hear some of that music. You'll hear some of that music tomorrow night. You'll also hear some spoken word by myself, and it's with Hillsburg Jazz Festival. And then April 6th, is it, Davey, or 8th? Me and you are doing a show together with Hip Hop for Change.
We are?
Yeah, man, you're doing a conversation with Coffee J for, what is that? Oh God, for a foundation, Zellerbach.
Okay.
Zellerbach, and I'm performing.
Yes, and he's excited about it, as you
Clearly.
can
It's
tell.
on your calendar.
No, I'm just tripping off. I didn't know she did spoken word too. So it is Ryan, Nicole, Austin, Robeson, Brown. Hardest working Jamaican.
Ryan,
I think
Ryan, can you go back?
business.
What is a libret? What did you say?
A librettist.
A librettist.
Which is a person who
Librettist.
writes the words for an operatic piece.
Can you spell it? Because I'm playing Soul Train Scramble Board right here.
Yeah.
I can't
Librettist.
Is that English, French, Latin? What is that?
You know what? I don't know. Don't get me around.
I can't believe she did
I like
10.
to sit next to the
Wait
smart
a second.
people.
She did 10 songs in a week.
In
The
a
only
week.
person who did 10 songs in a week
In a week.
is Ryan, Nicole, Robeson, Tupac.
Yes,
Brown.
yes.
We're going to call you Ryan, Nicole, Tupac, doing 10 songs in a week.
You know who I am, Davey? I'm Bay Electronica. I won't release the album.
Wow, Bay
It's
Electronica.
not
I love
happening.
that. You don't know how dope that is right there. Bay
That's
right.
Electronica. I'm not mad at that.
Well, look, let me just say that I'm
I
proud.
put that on a t-shirt.
Okay, all right, Shaq. I'm very proud of Ryan and proud of Tracy, Russell, CJ, Davey. You the man. I'm very proud to know all of you guys, and thank you for being part of the show. Before I go, though, I do want to say one more thing. We'll get to the book in just 1 second, Tracy. Give me 1 second. Starting in the next couple of days, we're going to be talking about the Life Lux Jazz Festival, which is coming up in Los Cabos, November 4th through the 8th, I believe it is. You may remember me talking about it a couple years ago. Me and Sherry went, and it was a fantastic time. Concert on the beach, the whole bit. I went, had a great time. The DJ was kind of so I said, look, I found the person who put the show together. I said, look, I got this idea. I did a lot of radio promotions. I can help you out a little bit if you're interested. First thing you need to do is get your DJs locked in. So I went in and I locked in Russell and CJ, who will be the house DJs for the whole weekend in Los Cabos for the Life Lux Jazz Festival.
That's what
I said, well, look, I also got this little show that we happen to do. It's called, at that time we were still on TV. I said, it's called I Remember That Song. You got two of my boys there already. I'm there. Why don't we just go ahead and get some audience members? Or maybe you want to fly in the rest of my team. I don't know. I'm just saying. But we could do the show live on the beach in front of some. And they said, okay, we're down with that too. So, not the flying in part, Trace. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was over here about to go
Right
into
now.
a full praise dance. Like,
I would have told you first. I'm working on it though. So for right now, we're gonna do 2 episodes of I Remember That Song live with me, Russell, CJ, some members that are performing there, and if Ryan, Tracy, and Antoine all of you guys can make it, you'll be on that stage as well. So you'll see information about that in the VIP lounge.
Me and you.
Yeah,
We're gonna
Hitchhike to
hit like the
Cabo.
Cabo. Yeah.
So it'd be people like performing at the shows like Mesa. It's Confunction. It's who else? Help me out, Russ. Who else is on the show? CJ.
Mike Phillips,
Mike
Harris
Phillips.
Roberson.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Jeff Lorber.
My girl from the other night on Unsung.
Oh, Leela James. Yeah.
Leela James will be there as well.
Yes.
It's gonna be a fantastic show. The concert is on the beach 2 nights in a row, and it's 4 days of stuff that's going on.
Is
so
Kindred
you're
on
going to
that
the
show?
beach?
What's that?
You're going to be at the beach?
The concert is on the beach. Yes.
Where the
Well,
heck is
Brian, we need to coordinate because we need be on the beach.
Listen,
Yes, you
sis,
need to come.
I'm gonna be on a canoe. I'm gonna rent a canoe, and we're gonna, yeah.
But let
I'm
me
gonna
say
leave
this.
October
Is
31st. We're gonna get there.
Carbo in Northern California?
What is carbo?
Cabo. Cabo.
Oh, I thought that
We
was
were
short for
doing so well.
carbohydrates.
Right.
Let me say this last thing about that. Okay. So what we want to do is have the Bay represent. So I'm going to start telling you guys how to get your packages and where to go and all like that, and just give you a promo code of IRTS. You get the promo code, you put that in when you buy your package. You will get a nice prize pack from us, which will include some music from Russ and CJ, some T-shirts, a tequila tasting thing on the with free food. That's going to be hosted by the host of the event, Mark Curry, and a lot of other things they're going to put in that prize pack. So represent the Bay so that you can keep all of us coming every year and get them to pay for Ryan and Tracy and Antoine next time. Okay.
We getting the cook.
And also to let you know, coming up April 20th, we're going to have Mike Phillips on this show, and we're going to actually feature everybody who's performing on that show and have Mike Phillips be our guest. Right?
Mike Philly.
On 420, no less.
On 420, yes.
Lord, everybody must be high. It's
wild. All right, so that's it. That's all I got. You guys got anything else? CJ, did you have anything else you want to add?
Nah, man, just Friday.
All right. One more time. If you want to get a copy of this book, Can't Stop, Won't Stop. There it is. Make sure that you type info at IRTSshow.com and give us the new name that Davey gave to Morris Chestnut. All right. And we'll get you a copy of that book. You guys
I can't even remember what name I gave to him.
I know.
We
It was Carmo.
We know.
All
right, so
Chestnut.
thank you very much for doing the show, Davey. You were fantastic as always.
Thank you for having me.
And we hope you sell a ton of these books because of this, because the world needs it.
And thank you for my Britney Spears poster.
Thank you, Brittany.
And the yellow M&Ms, you can feel free to eat them. I took them out with a baggie and never touched a human finger, so feel free to eat the M&Ms. It's all good.
Any more raisins left? I'm just saying.
I have one box left, but raisins is good for you. You can
That's
put
a
them in your
six-pack.
greens. You can put them. I put them in my greens.
They're full of carbos.
Carbo.
And we were this close to ending the show before that happened right there.
Like, I'm like, greens.
We were this close to not having.
Ladies and gentlemen, Davey
You put it in your
Federline.
Instapot. You put
Davey
your
Federline.
no. You make your greens in an Instapot.
And then that's where we fade to the sponsorship. Say good night, everybody. And we'll see you next week on IRTS Live.
IRTS Live is brought to you by United Players. It takes the hood to save the hood. Lifelong medical care, offering high-quality health, dental, and social services to all ages and incomes. Safe Source LLC, where safety is our engine, and we are the key that starts it. This episode is powered by PlushLifeMedia.com. Let us remix your digital presence. Hey, we've got gear. Visit IRTSshow.com for coffee cups, caps, t-shirts, and just added IRTS Live mouse pads and personal protective masks. Founded by our own Ryan Nicole, check out Haven, a cultural media production and distribution initiative for housing justice. Find out more at havenprojectoakland.com. Join DJs Big Russ and CJ Flash for the world-famous show live Fridays, noon to 4 Pacific. Catch them on the following social media platforms. And if you'd like to join us as a sponsor, please email us at info@irtsshow.com.